Understanding your why is the foundation of a life that truly works. It is the core reason behind your actions, decisions, dreams, and direction. When people operate without a clear sense of purpose, they often find themselves drifting from task to task, doing what others expect or simply following routine without feeling fulfilled. Purpose is what transforms ordinary effort into meaningful action. It gives you clarity when life becomes confusing and strength when challenges feel overwhelming. When you know why you do what you do, discipline comes more naturally because your actions are connected to something bigger than immediate comfort or convenience. Living with purpose is not about chasing success for the sake of external approval. It's about aligning your life with what genuinely matters to you. Many people spend years pursuing goals that look impressive from the outside, but feel empty on the inside. That happens when goals are not connected to a deeper reason. When you start with why, your goals become more intentional, your work gains meaning, and your life becomes guided rather than pressured. You don't wake up wondering what you're supposed to do. You wake up knowing what you're working toward and why it matters. Purpose fuels resilience. When obstacles appear, people who lack clarity often give up because the struggle feels pointless. But when your why is strong, challenges become part of the journey rather than roadblocks. You're willing to endure discomfort, push through doubt, and grow through difficulty because you understand what you're fighting for. Purpose turns frustration into determination and setbacks into lessons. It shifts your mindset from "I have to do this" to "I want to do this because it gets me closer to who I want to become." Finding your why isn't always immediate. It requires reflection, honesty, and sometimes unlearning what society has told you is important. Your purpose is not discovered in the noise of comparison, but in moments of stillness, curiosity, and self-awareness. It can come from your passions, your struggles, or your desire to contribute something meaningful to the world. It's unique to you, and only you can define it. Once you identify it, everything else in life becomes clearer. Decisions feel simpler because you have a guiding principle. Opportunities become easier to evaluate because you can ask, "Does this align with my why?" Your purpose is also what inspires others. People are naturally drawn to those who have clarity and conviction, because purpose is contagious. When you lead with your why, whether at work, at home, or in your community, you empower others to connect with their own. Your authenticity gives them permission to live authentically. Your passion encourages them to look deeper. Your consistency demonstrates what is possible when someone is anchored by meaning. A life that works is not a life free of problems, but a life built on purpose. When you start with why, you create direction, build resilience, and live with intention. You begin to shape a future that aligns with your values and fulfills your potential. Purpose becomes the compass that guides you, the fuel that drives you, and the foundation that sustains you. Discipline is not a trait reserved for a select few. It is a skill anyone can build through consistent, intentional effort. Many people think discipline means forcefully pushing yourself toward goals with constant intensity. But true discipline is much more subtle and sustainable. It grows out of the small choices you make every single day, the decisions that seem insignificant in the moment, but ultimately shape the direction of your life. When you commit to small daily actions, you build a foundation of trust with yourself. Every time you follow through, you reinforce the belief that you can depend on your own word, and that self-trust becomes the backbone of long-term discipline. The secret to strong discipline is not making massive changes overnight. It is understanding that repetition creates mastery and that consistency creates results. Even the most successful people do not rely on bursts of motivation to carry them forward. Motivation fades, emotions change, and circumstances shift, but discipline remains steady. It is the quiet force that keeps you moving long after the excitement has worn off. When you commit to a small action daily, something simple, achievable, and aligned with your goals, you build momentum. That momentum becomes a powerful ally, making discipline feel less like a chore and more like a natural part of who you are. Small daily actions also teach you patience. In a world that constantly promises fast results and instant gratification, discipline reminds you that real growth takes time. The habits you build today may not bring immediate transformation, but they plant the seeds of future success. Just as a tree grows slowly beneath the surface before breaking through the soil, your effort accumulates in ways you may not immediately see. Over time, those small, repetitive actions compound into extraordinary progress. Discipline is the engine behind this quiet transformation, turning effort into mastery and intention into achievement. Another important aspect of discipline is managing your environment and mindset. It's easier to stay consistent when you remove temptations, create routines, and design your surroundings to support your goals. Discipline thrives when decision fatigue is minimized. By creating structure, whether through planning your day, establishing routines, or setting clear boundaries, you free up mental space to focus on what truly matters. When your environment supports your purpose, discipline becomes less about willpower and more about alignment. You are no longer fighting against resistance. You are creating conditions that help you succeed effortlessly. Discipline also strengthens your character. It teaches you how to delay gratification, stay committed, and honor your promises. Through small, consistent actions, you develop a deeper sense of responsibility and self-respect. Each day you show up, whether you feel like it or not. You reinforce the mindset of someone who follows through. This creates a powerful identity shift. You stop identifying as someone who struggles with discipline and start seeing yourself as someone who is capable, reliable, and driven. Ultimately, discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It is built through simple, repeated actions that gradually elevate your life. When you commit to showing up every day, even in small ways, you create a rhythm of progress that becomes unstoppable. Over time, these small daily actions form the structure of a life defined by growth, strength, and purpose. The people you allow into your life have a profound influence on your mindset, habits, confidence, and overall direction. Human beings naturally absorb the energy, beliefs, and behaviors of those around them, often without realizing it. This is why cultivating relationships that inspire growth is not just beneficial, it is essential. When you surround yourself with individuals who push you to become better, who challenge your excuses, and who believe in your potential even when you doubt it, you create an environment that supports your highest self. Growth becomes more natural because you are continuously reminded of what you're capable of. Healthy, growth-oriented relationships act like mirrors. They reflect your strengths, highlight your blind spots, and encourage you to see possibilities instead of limitations. These relationships do not exist to flatter you or make you comfortable. They exist to help you evolve. People who care about your growth will give honest feedback, hold you accountable, and celebrate your progress without jealousy. They want to see you win because they are secure within themselves and because they value mutual development over competition. Being in the presence of people like this elevates your thinking and broadens your perspective. Healthy, Growth-oriented relationships act like mirrors. They reflect your strengths, highlight your blind spots, and encourage you to see possibilities instead of limitations. These relationships do not exist to flatter you or make you comfortable. They exist to help you evolve. People who care about your growth will give honest feedback, hold you accountable, and celebrate your progress without jealousy. They want to see you win because they are secure within themselves and because they value mutual development over competition. Being in the presence of people like this elevates your thinking and broadens your perspective. Meaningful growth also comes from being around individuals who live with integrity, passion, and purpose. Their example inspires you to raise your own standards and build better habits. You learn from their discipline, their resilience, and the way they approach challenges. Inspiration becomes contagious. When you witness others pursue excellence, it naturally awakens a desire within you to do the same. These relationships act as a reminder that greatness is possible, not just for a select few, but for anyone willing to put in the effort. At the same time, cultivating growth-oriented relationships means distancing yourself from those who drain your energy, sabotage your progress, or hold you back with negativity. Letting go of unhealthy connections is never easy, but it is often necessary. Some people are comfortable staying exactly where they are and may feel threatened when you begin evolving. They may encourage you to settle, mock your ambitions, or constantly highlight obstacles instead of opportunities. Over time, their influence can weaken your confidence and blur your sense of direction. Protecting your growth sometimes requires creating space from relationships that limit it. Inspiring relationships are built through reciprocity. It's not just about finding people who push you forward. It's also about being someone who inspires others. When you show up authentically, offer support, and invest in others' success without expecting anything in return, you contribute to a cycle of growth. Strong relationships thrive when both sides bring value, encouragement, and understanding. They deepen through shared experiences, difficult conversations, and mutual respect. Ultimately, surrounding yourself with people who inspire growth creates an atmosphere where progress feels natural and uplifting. You begin to think bigger, dream bolder, and act more intentionally. You become more confident and more resilient because you're not navigating life alone. Growth becomes a shared journey rather than a solitary struggle. When you choose relationships that challenge, support, and elevate you, you build a foundation that strengthens every area of your life. Failure is one of the most misunderstood experiences in life. Many people see it as a final outcome, a sign that they are not capable or worthy of success. But in reality, failure is not an ending. It is a beginning. It is the raw material from which strength, wisdom, and resilience are formed. When you learn to embrace failure instead of fearing it, you unlock a powerful mindset that allows you to grow beyond your limitations. Failure becomes a teacher rather than an enemy, showing you what needs improvement, what habits must change, and what strategies need adjustment. Every person who has achieved something meaningful has experienced failure, often many times. Success is rarely a smooth, straight path. It is built on attempts, mistakes, corrections, and renewed effort. Failure is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. It is evidence that you are trying, stretching, and stepping outside your comfort zone. Growth does not happen in moments of ease. It happens in moments of challenge. When you face something difficult and fall short, you gain insight into your own abilities and discover what you must strengthen. This process builds character. It teaches humility, patience, and persistence. Embracing failure requires letting go of the need for perfection. Many people avoid taking risks because they fear looking foolish or disappointing others. They cling to comfort zones because failure feels like a threat to their identity. But real growth happens when you detach your self-worth from your outcomes and realize that mistakes do not define you. Failure is simply information. It tells you what didn't work so you can find what will. When you accept this truth, you stop fearing failure and begin using it as a strategic tool. Another important aspect of embracing failure is learning to respond to it with curiosity instead of shame. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" you ask, "What can I learn from this?" That shift in perspective is transformative. It turns setbacks into stepping stones and prevents you from giving up prematurely. When you approach failure with curiosity, you examine your actions more objectively. You identify patterns, refine your approach, and develop resilience. Rather than shrinking after a setback, you return stronger and more prepared than before. Failure also builds emotional strength. It teaches you how to handle disappointment, navigate uncertainty, and remain determined when things don't go your way. With each failure you overcome, you expand your capacity to endure challenges. You become more confident not because you avoid hardship, but because you have proven to yourself that you can survive it. This inner strength becomes a powerful foundation that supports you through future struggles. Ultimately, embracing failure means embracing growth. It means recognizing that every setback carries a lesson and every mistake carries potential. When you stop fearing failure, you unlock a level of freedom that allows you to take bigger risks, dream bolder dreams, and pursue your goals with greater courage. You stop playing small and start leaning into your potential. Failure becomes a natural part of the journey, not a barrier. And with every fall and every rise, you become stronger, wiser, and more equipped to build the life you truly want. Leadership is not limited to titles, positions, or roles. It is a way of living, a daily choice that begins with integrity and is sustained by courage. Leading with integrity means aligning your actions with your values, even when it is difficult or inconvenient. It means choosing honesty over ease and responsibility over avoidance. Integrity builds trust, both within yourself and with those around you. When your words and actions consistently match, people feel safe to believe in you, follow you, and rely on you. At the same time, you begin to trust yourself more deeply because you know you are living in accordance with your principles rather than bending to pressure or fear. Courage is the other essential pillar of authentic leadership. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to act despite fear. It is the voice inside that tells you to move forward even when uncertainty looms and doubt whispers. Leading with courage means speaking up when something is wrong, taking responsibility when others stay silent, and stepping into challenges instead of running from them. Courage invites growth because it forces you to stretch beyond comfortable boundaries. You discover strengths you didn't know you had, and you gain confidence through each brave decision you make. When integrity and courage work together, they shape a form of leadership that inspires others naturally. People follow leaders not because they are told to, but because they feel moved by the leader's character. They admire the consistency, the honesty, and the willingness to stand firm in moments of difficulty. This kind of leadership creates a ripple effect. Your actions encourage others to act with integrity and bravery in their own lives, creating a culture of trust and respect. Leadership, in this sense, becomes less about directing and more about influencing through example. Leading with integrity and courage also requires self-awareness. It demands that you reflect on your intentions, confront your weaknesses, and acknowledge your mistakes. Integrity is not about perfection. It is about accountability. When you make a mistake, owning it openly demonstrates strength, not weakness. It shows maturity and commitment to truth. Courage then allows you to correct your path, learn the necessary lessons, and move forward without shame. This transparency deepens your credibility, because people can see that you are genuine and willing to grow. Everyday leadership also involves making choices that serve a larger purpose, rather than immediate gratification. It means prioritizing long-term principles over short-term comfort. Sometimes the courageous choice is walking away from negativity, resisting unethical shortcuts, or standing up for someone who cannot stand up for themselves. Integrity guides your direction, and courage fuels your steps. Together, they ensure you live in alignment with your deepest values. Ultimately, leading with integrity and courage transforms not only how others see you, but also how you see yourself. You begin to move through life with greater clarity, confidence, and purpose. You become someone who does the right thing not for recognition, but because it is simply who you are. And as you consistently uphold these qualities, you build a life marked by respect, authenticity, and meaningful impact, proving that the greatest leadership begins with how you choose to show up every single day.